Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be checking out the tracks that I made for the LMTV and basically just putting them through their paces, see what breaks and if they work at all. These tracks I made about a year ago for an older version of the LMTV, which is part of the reason the color does not match, but I think they look pretty good. The belts on the tracks are completely 3D printed out of TPU, and the rest of it is just PLA. The only thing I purchased was some aluminum rod, and then these little roller bearings that act as the bogies on the tracks. Now, I'm actually pretty proud of my design here because the difficulty with tracks like these is getting the hub to support the weight without causing problems. All of the weight of the steering and the weight of the truck are on this one little point, and it can't really be expected to take all of that force, especially when you do stuff like turning, which completely twists the entire structure of the track. So what I did is I added this extra set of rollers under the sprocket, if you will. These rollers support the sprocket and allow it to take the weight of the truck as well as the steering forces without having to transfer it straight through the hub. I've never seen this design before on real tracks or on model tracks, but it seems to work pretty well, so maybe it should be on real tracks. Alright, so in terms of performance, they actually perform really well. Driving over these tires and even hard pieces of plastic is no problem. They get a lot of grip, and the wedge sort of angle on the front of them allows them to climb over stuff really easily. There's definitely a lot of resistance. The truck definitely feels the strain, you can hear it. To go along with this, the top speed is also significantly reduced because of the smaller diameter of the sprocket compared to the regular wheels. But it gets around pretty good for a tracked vehicle. As you can see, one of the challenges that it faced climbing over these tires is that the rear track would be lifted off of the ground and then it would begin to flip. This is because the track naturally doesn't want to turn, it just wants to rotate around the axle instead of actually cycling the track around the bogies. If you put this thing in the air, if you held it up, it would just flip the tracks over and over and over. So maybe I could tie a little piece of string to the tracks that would prevent them from over-rotating, but allow them to move freely within a given radius. And this is what they do on real tracks like this. We actually have a pair of these real tracks and we use it for grooming on our ski trails. Ours do not have the anti-flip device. On many occasions we've considered putting these on. Okay, now we gotta take this thing out in the snow. So when I initially took it out, it performed really well, pretty similar to how it performed inside. Even with the snow in the tracks, it didn't seem to mind too much. The bogies have a circular shape which should help deflect the snow out from under them and eliminate binding in the tracks. As you can see, it cruised right along through the snow. It looked really good. However, after only a few minutes, even between setting up the camera, the battery started to feel the cold. Alexa, what's the temperature?
Right now, it's 24 degrees Fahrenheit.
It's about...
Expect a low of 18 degrees.
It's about 24 degrees Fahrenheit out. Even though that's not bitter cold, it was enough to severely reduce the performance of the battery, and it kind of acted like it was dead. It's a big battery, it's a 5200 milliamp hour, so it's not that the battery was old or too small, it just had a tough time in the cold. I do have some USB hand warmers, which I'm planning to maybe use as a battery heater in the future. I just need to wire it up to the battery on 5 volts. Anyway, the conclusion is that, at least in its current state, it's a little bit difficult to use outside simply because of the battery problem. There's also a pretty significant amount of friction, and so the range and likely long-term durability of the tracks is put into question. These are my first attempt tracks. I literally designed it and printed it up, and this is what I have. I haven't even gone through a second prototype. So there's potentially room for improvement, eliminating friction points and stuff like that. All in all, pretty impressed with how it turned out. If you're interested in downloading the files for these tracks yourself, and you're free to modify them as you like to fit your RC, go ahead. I'm gonna put that link in the description. Also, a quick heads up, if you're interested in building the entire truck, I am currently working on an Instructable, which is linked down below, in which you'll be able to build this whole thing. All the files are included, all of the links for parts are included, but it is not done yet. Anyway, with that being said, that's all I got. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.